Hi, this is Stacy with Lily Bean Crafts by Stacy. Welcome back, and if it's your first time, thanks for stopping by. So the tumbler that I worked on for today's Halloween series is one that I wanted to make a little bit spookier. Cute still, but a little bit more on the spooky side. So this is a haunted house vinyl that I created, and when I was creating this, I had a vision in mind of what I wanted the tumbler to look like, but I wasn't quite sure if I could pull it off. So I'm starting off by just trimming off the pieces of the vinyl that I wanted to use, which is about 50% of it. One piece of it does have the moon, the other half of it does not, and I wanted to have the moon in there. So I cut it to fit the tumbler exactly how I wanted it to be. I am going to use the hinge method, but it's going to be a little bit different this time because there is the handle. So I am putting two slits with scissors where the handle is, and I'm going to slide that in there, and then I'll trim that up with my X-Acto knife once I have all of the vinyl placed. But here's where I am just kind of cutting this so that I can start working with applying it through the hinge method, making sure that I have it all lined up good. And then once I have it applied, then I will trim everything so that the vinyl fits. I did put a fresh blade on my X-Acto knife while I'm trimming this. Now, what I'm using here for the tumbler is one of the new 24-ounce plumps with the handle from the Tipsy Magnolia. I did sand it, clean it up, spray painted it in a matte black, and let it dry before I put the vinyl on. And I wanted to be really careful with it because I didn't want to scratch up the spray paint that is on the handle. And now that I'm on the other side of it, I'm going to make sure that I have this all lined up, and then I'm going to trim everything out so that all of the vinyl matches up. And I'm going to go right in with 10 mLs of my Flynn Sisters Fast Set Epoxy. I'm super excited that I'm now an affiliate for them. If you wanted to get any of this amazing epoxy, my discount code is LBC10 for you to save 10% on your purchase. And I'm just getting this completely covered with the epoxy because I want to seal it all in. I'm going to be working with alcohol inks next, and I wanted to make sure that this is all sealed and set before I start doing that. So I am just going to go in with just black alcohol ink. I have a couple of different brands, and I'm just going to go in with that whichever one is going to give me the darkest color. I'm basically doing this because there's some pieces of the vinyl that don't really apply with what I want to do with my vision. So I'm just going to go ahead in with the black alcohol ink and cover it up. The one that I decided to go with is from Jen's Crafty Gems. I don't know if she's making it anymore. It's called Black Hole. It's a really, really dark alcohol ink. If not, then I also have some from Tim Holtz right here. I think it's called Pitch Black. And I'm just going in with my little sea sponge, and I'm just dabbing it, and then off to the side I do have a little bit of 91% alcohol, and I am going to have that in case I want to like blend it out a little bit. I am bringing it around the bottom here because I want to make it look as if there's no seam from the vinyl. So I'm just dabbing it everywhere that I want to cover up and blend it all together. Then I'm going to go ahead and just put it off to the side and let it dry for a few minutes. And while it's drying, I went into Creative Fabrica and I found an SVG of a graveyard kind of scene, and I just printed out a couple of the different pieces from it. I will have this linked in the description for you, and I'm just going to go ahead and just weed this out. It did take a couple minutes because there's a couple of little pieces on here, but I just wanted to, around the bottom edge of it, I decided that I wanted to use this mint permanent vinyl and make this graveyard scene, and since there's so much mint in the vinyl itself, I wanted to have it all match. So once I have this all weeded out, I'm going to wrap it around the bottom of the tumbler. And if you haven't done so yet, come check out my Lily Bean Crafters Community Facebook group. It's just a place where we can chat about all things epoxy. I do have it linked in the description. And then with my transfer tape, I'm just going to use the hinge method to lay this down. Want to make sure that I get it on there pretty straight because I'm going to be needing to get it wrapped straight around the tumbler. So treating it like the vinyl and doing the hinge method. And I just took my time with it and tried to get it as lined up as clean as possible. And you just want to be really careful when you're applying this SVG because there is a lot of little itty bitty pieces there. And since it's one whole sheet, you just don't want to accidentally mess any of it up. Now I've mixed up 20 mLs of epoxy. I'm going to put roughly about 10 mLs of the epoxy on the tumbler. Go ahead and get this all fully covered, and I'm going to go ahead and pop any bubbles, and then I'm going to take the other 10 mLs and split it into 2 little cups, and I am going to be doing a mixture of, one of the cups is going to have a microfine glitter in it, the other one is going to have a white epoxy dye that is going to be used to create fog. Here's where I'm taking just a little scoop of my Grace Microfine from Rae Creations. I'm going to mix that in with the epoxy, and then here I am taking the white epoxy dye that I have, putting just a couple of drops in there. I started off with just 1 drop and it was still a little bit too light, so I put like 2 more drops in and I mixed it with the epoxy. Here I am popping any of the bubbles, and then I am working with a fast set, so I don't have a ton of time, but I also want to take my time on this and make sure that I get this applied the way that I want to. So I'm just taking my little metal stirring stick that I have, and I'm just spreading a little bit of the white epoxy dye in the epoxy mixture, and then I'm just going to take my finger and apply just a little bit of light pressure on there and just kind of spread it around and make sure that this looks how I want it to. Then I'm gonna go and pop any more bubbles that I created from messing with it. And then I'm gonna go ahead and start working with the glitters. And here I am just taking a little bit of that Grace Microfine that is in the epoxy mixture, and I'm just very carefully applying it in a couple of the different places where I want to have it look like the stars in the sky. And then once I like the way that it looks, I'm going to go ahead and take my little torch again and pop any bubbles. And then I'm going to apply a couple more glitters to it to really make a wow factor. Where I have all of that Grace Microfine, I am going in with Binks, which is a holographic black that I got from Rae Creations, and I'm just kind of sprinkling it on. I don't want to get it on any of like the moon or like the houses or things like that, but it's glitter, so it does have a mind of its own, and this is epoxied, so a couple of stray little pieces went on, but that didn't bother me at all. I just wanted to make sure that I had this, really adding a little bit of an extra wow factor. And then I am going in with some Galadriel from Peachy Olive Glitters, and that is like a fine mixture of silvers, and I just wanted to add just a little bit of that because that has such a beautiful sparkle to it. And then I went ahead and I let that spin for 4 hours, and now I'm going in with another 10 mLs of my fast set epoxy, covering all of that glitter that is raw and exposed, and getting this all put together so that we can start working on the glitter butt. So I had a couple different ideas for what I was going to do with the glitter butt, and I did mess around with some things and I didn't like it, so I removed it. So what I'm doing here is I am going in with the mixture of Midnight and Binks, the two different black glitters that I had put together for a different tutorial that I worked on. And I just used my UV resin and I mixed it with it, and I'm just going to go ahead and put it around the outer rim of the glitter butt. And once I have this all in the outer rim, I'm going to go ahead and put it under my UV lamp and let it dry. So I got a couple of name tags with my business name on them from Mizzy's Doodles, and I'll go ahead and I will link that in the description. And I'm just removing the backing on it, and I'm taking my X-Acto knife and just removing any of the little pieces from when they printed my logo on here. And then I'm going to take a white Posca pen and just draw on it to outline and highlight in white the name of my company. And then I'm going to let that dry for a minute. And once it's dry, I am going to take a little bit of my UV resin, put it on the center of the glitter butt, and make it so that I can lay that down on there. And I'm going to put it under the UV lamp and let that dry. So that will be in the center of here. And then I'm going to take a little bit more of my black alcohol ink on my sponge and just dab it on the bottom here and just cover up any little pieces that might not have gotten completely covered or got scratched off when I made the changes to the glitter butt itself. I did get a little bit on the name, so I took a little bit of alcohol ink and just wiped it off. And now that I have that, I am going to take a little bit of my UV resin and a little bit of just a white alcohol ink, and I am going to mix just a little bit in there. I don't want to go crazy with it, but I decided that I wanted to make it look like fog, just like the bottom of the tumbler itself, just extending that fog down to the glitter butt. And I'm going to kind of show you here how I apply that on there. I have never done this before, so I was just playing with how I wanted it to look. And then like I did with the tumbler itself, I just took my finger and just kind of rubbed it around just to give it that foggy look. And then once I had it the way that I liked it, I went ahead and put it under the UV lamp and let it dry for 2 minutes. And now I'm just going in with my UV resin to cover everything and seal the bottom and give it the look that I always like with my glitter butts. And I'm going to pop any bubbles, put it under my UV lamp for 2 minutes, and then the glitter butt is all done. Then I'm going to take this tumbler, I sanded it down with my 220 grit sandpaper, and now I'm going in with 10 mLs of my Flynn Sisters Artist Cure resin. This is the final coat, and I want to make sure that I get this covered really well. I'm going to pop any bubbles. I'm going to let this spin for 8 to 10 hours, and then it will be all done. And this is the final product. I love how it all came together. That graveyard was exactly what I envisioned when I thought of making this tumbler. I love how I've got the glittery starry sky, And I'm just really, really happy that my vision came to life. And if you like this tutorial, please hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see everybody again next time. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.